What is up, everyone? Welcome to L2R2 PlayStation Podcast. My name is Fonzie. I'm joined by my co-host, indie game dev, UK bro for another mum, Cal Monroe. Cal, we had some audio issues. We're back. How are you doing? You're still alive. You haven't died in this 30 minutes it's taken us to get this going.
Yeah, and I went to make a coffee as well, so there's lots of stuff that could have happened on the way.
That's true.
But I've just realised I did take my hat off, so that's kind of like a magic trick, I suppose.
The power of editing. I'll just place.
1 second.
I'll place a little hat above you somehow.
Yeah,
figure it out. But yeah, we went into how our week has been. You've been playing any games this week?
So after I finished Ghost of Tsushima, I sort of when you finish a good game, you sort of don't really play through things as much as that. I mean, because I sat down and played that every day, but I played a little bit of Assassin's Creed Origins, a little bit more of that. And I'm not sure how I feel about it. I'm still enjoying it, but I think Ghost of Tsushima kind of ruined it in a lot of ways. But also the story's just really naff. There's just some really strange bits in it that it just seems really cringy and just bad. But
really?
I've got to say the I don't know if I said this last week, but the world building, the way the world is filled with just everything. So whether it's cities, little towns, little villages, little farms, everything feels so genuine. It's it's the best realized game world I've probably ever seen. I mean, the attention to detail is incredible. Everything feels so lived in and real. So I think that's what's keeping me playing. The rest of it is just very fine. The combat's all right. Everything else is just mediocre, really. But other than that, I've been playing some more Alien Nation as well. Just in bed, just trying to sort of grind through that. And it's so much fun. It's a good game just to whack on at night when you're chilling out in bed. But other than that, just those two.
That's cool. Yeah, there's that one. Have you played through all of that dev's games? Because they have They have Alien Nation, they have Dead Nation, and I'm blanking. Is it Housemarque?
They have quite a few. Yeah, Housemarque. Yeah, I haven't played. So I've played Dead Nation, Alien Nation, Resogun, and Super Stardust, but gotcha. I haven't played. I'll try and find because there's a few games I want to try. So yeah, I never tried Matterfall or Nex Machina. So they're a couple of games that I'd definitely like to try.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they made some old games, but I mean, recently. In fact, I think Alien Nation is probably the newest game of theirs I've played. The rest of them, Nex Machina and Matterfall, came out afterwards. So I might have to give them a go. But yeah, and we got Returnal coming out on PS5 as well, so that's something to look forward to. But
what about that Storm Divers? Was that just canceled, or did that actually release and no one played it? What was the deal with that?
Yeah, so I don't know who made Storm Divers, but yeah, similar to Alien Nation. I remember playing it a bit when it was free on PlayStation Plus, and it was that really difficult game. But yeah, I really liked it, and I think I know a couple of people who do still like it and do still jump into it every now and then. So I think it's still got a little community going. But yeah, I think that was one of those games I can't remember, I've forgotten the name of it now. The game that's just come out on Plus now. But I think it's one of those games that really benefited from coming out and being released for free. And I think it was also the first Sony published game to come out on PC as well, I do believe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and you're talking about Fall Guys. That was the one that came out recently.
Yes. So I think that because that one's obviously benefiting loads from coming out and then straight away going to Plus. And I think Helldivers did a similar route, and it got quite big from that, and then got ported over to PC and everything. But yeah. So yeah, that's a game I haven't sort of thought about in a while, actually. But yeah, that is a very similar. Even I think the box art or the sort of cover art's very similar to that of Alien Nation.
Which that reminds me with Fall Guys, and it wasn't one of my articles today, but did you hear some of the review bombing because I guess it wasn't working at launch? There's a lot of issues with it at launch.
Yeah, I saw something just pathetic about it, and you just sort of. It just happens with everything now, doesn't it? You just got these just absolute gremlins that. Just do this kind of thing, and it's just weird. But yeah, no, I've been sort of. They've been really good on Twitter and stuff. They've been tweeting Cyberpunk and The Witcher.
I saw that this morning. Yeah,
these things. So yeah, so they've got a really good brute force sort of style of marketing. And I think it looks like it's working out really well. I haven't got a chance to play the game yet, but I've added it to my library and everything, so I'm sure I'll give it give it a go at some point. I saw people complaining about a trophy on it as well, about winning 5 times in a row or something.
Apparently that's really hard to do. But...
Yeah, and I mean, I love trophy hunting, as you know, but like, it's just to get annoyed because there's a hard trophy is just stupid as well.
Yeah, somebody had kind of screenshotted a conversation on Twitter. This one guy in particular was complaining. It's like, why is this insanely hard trophy that no one can achieve? And then it was just like, it came down to it. The guy was like, I really just want easy trophies. And I guess there's an argument for like, what do you really want? Do you want a challenge? Do you want, because that was maybe more of an old school thing with like PS3, Xbox 360 era, where there's these almost insane, unachievable, trophies and achievements. So they've kind of been more relaxed on that. But this is one that tries to, at least it's one trophy in particular that tries to make it, really hard to get.
Yeah, that's just how it is. There are games that have hard trophy lists, and like you said, like back on PS3 when they were still sort of in their infancy, so they weren't really as sought after. I remember Ghost Recon. I think Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter 2. This might have been on 360. I don't know if that had trophies, but there was an achievement on there to get to number 1 in the world on multiplayer. So like only a very select few people would be able to have that achievement. So, but yeah, and I don't even think that this winning 5, not that I've seen the game very much, but even if it is, I suppose it's kind of like winning 5 battle royales in a row, isn't it? Like, it's very difficult, but that's why it's there as a trophy. If you want to get it, then you've got to get good at the game and win 5 times or whatever. But people are asking to patch it out, and it's like, it doesn't matter if you don't get a platinum trophy or 100% completion on one game. Like, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I think the narrative is from people that are really hardcore trying to get trophies, and you're one that I think sides more in that direction. But it's interesting that you're able to like also make that mental decision where it's like, it's not the end of the world if I can't achieve this thing.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think the thing with me is if I knew that it had a really easy platinum list and I knew it was also a really fun game, then I might be more inclined to play it sooner. But the fact it's got a hard trophy hasn't put me off. Like, I'm not one of those people who are like, oh, I'm not going to play it now because I'm not going to be able to get the platinum. Like, I've got like, I think I've got like 4,500 trophies and I've only got 31 platinums. So, like, the majority of the games on my trophy list, I haven't platinumed or even got near to. And I think that some people are just too, like, they have to platinum every single thing. And I just don't think that, like, obviously if that's what they enjoy, but don't, like, bring your niche wants into sort of, like, somebody's not niche game and try and, like, reflect all of that upon them kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I love trophy hunting. I just think, like everything, the community has some weird people in it.
Yeah, pretty much, and they're freaking out over nothing. But yeah, I'd seen that drama kind of unfold online. I know that Steam had no, it was Metacritic. That's what I'm thinking of. Metacritic had changed it to where they don't allow user reviews till like a week after to kind of combat people review bombing for unfair reasons. But this is through Steam, where if you purchase it, then you can leave a review. And I guess some people were. It becomes a bit more complicated because some people were reviewing it and saying, well, I couldn't play it at launch, so this is why I'm leaving a negative review. So I guess I understand it in that sense, but with these multiplayer games, a lot of them are not broken at launch, but they have to kind of like figure it out. They have to test servers and adjust stuff as need be. So that's more of a commonplace thing. So I always know that if there's a massive multiplayer game online or a battle royale game online, it's like I know to give it a day or two for them to finish and kind of not finish it, but like work out the kinks. And even Fall Guys, I think by the end of the day, they had a lot of stuff adjusted to where you could jump into a match pretty quickly.
Yeah. I think it's just people are just very impatient, and it's just one of those things, isn't it? People just always feel like that they deserve to have everything working perfectly, but it's just not how it works.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's frustrating, but that is it's what it is, and that's the internet. It definitely if there's something to complain about, then they find it and they pick it apart. But
yeah, absolutely.
Nice. So we've been playing that. You know what? This week I finally got my VR unit, and I ordered it at the end of last week. It actually came super quick, but I got the Oculus Quest, and so I've been jumping into that. I saw your picture on Twitter, and I was like, oh, you lucky man.
Yeah.
I've been waiting to get something like this for a while, and the whole catalyst to this was getting Half-Life Alyx. Like that was the entire motivation for even kind of like building the PC in the first place, was getting me closer to, you know, achieving that. I never thought it's something that I could actually do, and now I'm in it, I'm playing it, and it's fucking awesome. It's really amazing, and this is one of the first VR games that I've played. And actually, like, because I've dabbled with VR, I've had like friends that have it, I put it on for a second, and it's been very quick. But this is the first time I've actually had it in my home, and I'm spending hours playing through it. But it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Do you get like the marks on your like forehead when you finish playing it?
Well, it's crazy how sweaty you instantly get. Like, it's already sweaty just setting the thing up and then putting it on. And I have glasses too, so you have to, it comes luckily with this like little adapter, so it kind of works over your glasses, but it's just a whole setup, and you instantly start sweating. And but as long as once you get over that, then it's fine. Just have like a spare towel ready to dab your forehead or whatever. But I can easily see, because that was some of the issues people had even before COVID with these like events you can go to, say like PAX or whatnot, E3, where people were trying these VR units, and some places weren't like wiping them down or sanitizing. It's like you get instantly sweaty. So I can't imagine the stuff that was spread even before all this Corona stuff with people trying VR
those
units.
Those Oculus Quests are quite lightweight as well in comparison to, I mean, like the PlayStation VR is like, it's huge. And I because I haven't played a huge amount on, because my little brother's got a Quest, and I've played like bits of like fun games. Like I haven't played anything serious on it. But when I had the PlayStation VR and I played Resident Evil 7 on it, I mean, I'd sit there for like, obviously I wouldn't be able to have as long gaming sessions as normal, but you know, I'd just be sat there, and like you said, like it's just so sweaty, it's just heavy on your head, it's just, it is an amazing experience, but it's also like not very pleasant to sort of play with at times as well.
Right.
So I think there's still some things they can do to make it a bit nicer, but yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear you. And so the USB-C cable you bought for the Quest, did you get the Oculus one that cost like $100, or did you just get
no? I did some research where on Amazon people had these USB cables that are super long, work just fine, and so I got one of those, and it's working great. I have it tethered to my PC, and it's working fine. I made some posts online even before, like when I actually made the initial pre-order or order rather. People that I didn't know were kind of chiming in going, oh, did you know like Half-Life Alyx doesn't work with Oculus? And I'm saying like, okay, it does work. I did my research. You have to have it tethered to your PC. And then other people would be like, oh, do you have a PC to play this? Like, yeah, dude, I looked into it. I spent 5 minutes Googling this, and I wasn't going to drop the money to actually reassearch this before to make sure. It's like, I figured it out. It works. And there was
you're not going to spend like 600 quid and then go, oh wait, I need a PC. Like,
right.
That's not the kind of money you like dive into spending without doing your research first.
And if you're doing that, this ain't for you, man. If you're just on a whim ordering stuff like this, like this is not for you. But no, I'm digging it. There was a good amount of adjustments to make beforehand to make sure just like the quality is there, like the frame rate is there. You have to kind of adjust settings. Even as, I guess, powerful as my PC is, I had to go on medium just to make sure it's all fluid, because you can kind of you can make sure the visual, and that's the same case with all PC games, but you can upgrade the visuals, but then the frame rate isn't as fluid, and you really notice it when it's VR. So it's like I had to make sure that frame rate was smooth. But it's pretty dope. I kind of moved everything. That's why I'm in the living room now. I kind of moved everything aside and like made sure I had my play space, and man, I just want to live there though. I just want to live in that world. And so it's kind of weird to like pull it off and have to deal with like regular chores and mundane, life. I just want to live in that.
Yeah. Soon you'll turn into, the VR will turn into a head crab, and you'll just be a zombie walking around.
I did get.
Oh, it's actually is it scary? Because I found the second game quite scary at times.
It's actually crazy fucking scary, and I wish it wasn't as scary first off the bat, because in the Half-Life games are known for their crazy sci-fi stuff, and there is that horror element to them. Like if you think of like Ravenholm in the second one, but they usually kind of like slow you into it, ease you into it. In this game, it's like right off the bat. They get you used to the mechanics, and then you're right off the bat into these crazy, just like dark and scary elements of the game. So I'd rather they put that maybe in the middle when I was more comfortable, but it's very creepy right off the bat. But I'm hoping that it kind of stops being that way later on in the game.
Yeah, nice. That's really cool. I think VR is definitely something that, you know, as gamers, you know, if you're like really into your games, I think they are something that you need to have access to, because they are just a different experience, really, especially when you've got top tier developers making games specifically for it.
Right.
And I think we're going to be talking about RE8 later, which I think's been pretty much confirmed it's going to have VR as well.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that'll be interesting, because I mean, RE7, the VR mode was absolutely awesome, and I think I've said before, the single player without it suffered because of how good it was on VR. I think they sort of had to sacrifice a lot, like especially like enemy types and things like that. So hopefully RE8 will see them sort of tether that balance a bit better, and, you know, deliver something just as good on each side.
Yeah, that's true, and that's one thing that's a game I need to try on VR as well. I'm thinking there is a PC release of RE7. I assume there is, because I know
sure there is. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's the thing. There's so many VR games.
That'd be good as well. Yeah. Yeah, that will get you a bit nervous. It's not very nice to play. Just the way they've, like, I'm sure Half-Life Alyx probably puts it in the, sort of leaves it in the dust, to be fair, but it's just like being in that house and slowly opening doors, and you can like peek your head round the door and stuff. It's just very much more suspenseful in that way. So yeah, that'd be a good one to get. I'm pretty sure it's on Steam, and if it is, I'm sure it'd have all the VR support and everything.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's one I need to try too. I mean, what I noticed with and maybe it's something that's you get when it's kind of built from the ground up for VR, but with Alyx, the animations on the characters is just insane. Like I forget the name of the characters. I think they're Vortigons. They're the alien buddies that you have in the game that do this kind of like mystical power stuff. And they have like, 3 eyes or 1 eye in the middle. There's one guy you meet right off the bat, and all the different, his skin is moving in these really realistic ways. Like his eyes are all blinking and you can just see it. And I'm just, it's just kind of nuts. Like, this is not the same kind of animation that you find in a regular game, or you just don't notice it as well. But the fact that you can just kind of like look around as his muscles are moving, it's just insane. Like, there's so many different elements that just keep you immersed in that world, and the lighting is nuts too. Like, there's a lot of reflections where I'm thinking, oh, this is just real life. Like the way the water is sitting, and the reflections on and I think they're baked in. They're not dynamic or whatever, but it benefits from it because they can control every aspect of the lighting, and it just makes it even more real. Yeah, I'm having a blast with it. I am noticing some, I can only play for maybe about an hour and a half before I need to take a break and kind of walk around a bit, because I do feel that nausea. It gives you a lot of settings, though. You can adjust on the fly whether you want to walk through the world or just teleport. So they do kind of keep that in mind of giving you a lot of options that you can quickly move through.
Yeah, I think just from playing, because I've played like Star Wars Immortal and some of the games on like PlayStation VR as well. And I think because in Resident Evil 7 you can also choose like teleport or walking, and I quite like just the walking. I think it's a bit that's the kind of way I'd like to experience VR, is that I'm still playing games the way I know how to play them, but instead of using a monitor, the monitor is my eyesight, like is what I can see, and that's the kind of perfect like thing for me. I'm not too bothered about all this like. I mean, the touching and grabbing is really cool, and the controllers are making it better and better, but I just really loved playing Resident Evil 7 with a DualShock, with the VR headset on, like it's a real game, and just being able to be in the game. Like, I think the best thing about VR isn't being able to see things and pick them up. It's just being able to experience the game you're playing in a completely like 3-dimensional space. But I know that's not necessarily the most popular opinion. I know people love the whole grabbing things, and that you've got like all the job simulator games, which are all great fun, and but yeah, I think those kind of things are just inherently gimmicky, and they just remind me of like motion controls and things like that. But I think things like Half-Life Alyx, which is a game, and I think Half-Life Alyx, to be fair to it, seems to blend all of the gimmicky stuff like grabbing things and using your hands. I think it is able to blend them in a bit more, but yeah, I'm just a fan of using controllers over anything that isn't a controller, really, or keyboard or mouse or whatever.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. This one in particular really does try and make sure that all the movement you're doing or the grabbing you're doing there's a reason for it, and it adds to the gameplay. There's a lot of, like, the puzzles are done by actually like manipulating the world with your hands, and it's just so well done. And already, like, the first 10-15 minutes, I'm like, oh, this might be my game of the year, just like already playing this. But that's something we should do maybe as we get towards the actual end of the year. It's like, what is the best game we've played this year? But also, as the PS4 reaches its end, what is the best PS4 exclusive game or best title you've played on PlayStation? Because now we're reaching the end of its entire run. So I wonder, and I'm sure we'll see more of that online. But like,
that's a stressful thing to think about, isn't
yeah.
it? I have no idea what I'd choose yet. Yeah, I'd have to sit down. I think for this year, I think there's some obvious. I'm struggling to even think about what I've played this year, to be honest. I mean, the three that come to mind are definitely Final Fantasy VII, Last of Us 2, and Ghost of Tsushima.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure, in fact, I think I was thinking of one. Was Persona 5 Royal this year? Did that come out? I know it's kind of like a re-release, so I don't really know how.
I don't know.
But it has got lots of extra content, so I don't know. But that would definitely be up there as well. So, but yeah, best PS4 exclusive is that's a really tough one. A really, really, really tough one. There's so many good ones.
Oh yeah, you had Spiderman. You got God of War. I mean, there's Death Stranding, which is still in the mix. You have oh god, I mean, there's tons of them.
Horizon.
Yep.
All, yeah.
Which Ratchet and Clank was definitely should be up there.
Yeah.
It is interesting. Yeah, we're getting towards the end of this little guy's life cycle, and he's give us all a lot of fun and good time. So appreciate it.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
All right, Callum. Yeah, so we'll get into some of the news here. We got, of course, later today, the State of Play is happening, and this is announced kind of out of the blue on Monday. So we'll get into the actual details here. State of Play returns this Thursday, August 6th. So this is from the PlayStation blog. State of Play returns Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So it's going to be 40 minutes long. A focus on upcoming PS4 and PSVR games. A few quick check-ins on third-party and indie games from June's PS5 showcase. No big PS5 announcements. And I have this little disclaimer here about when we should see a PS5 announcement. This one, I guess when they announced the State of Play, I was a bit rubbed the wrong way, where I was thinking, okay, we're getting some actual, we can get a release date, we can get pre-orders in, but this is not focusing on PS5 content. Were you at all bothered that we're still not getting that?
So, because I didn't really understand what they said. So when they said no big PS5 announcement, does that mean they're not showing any PS5 games they've already announced? Or is it just they're not saying anything new about the PS5?
That's true, because the way they word it, no big PS5 announcements, they don't say nothing related to PS5. They just say no big announcements, whether it's maybe they're trying to put people at ease, no pre-orders here, but maybe they do end the show on a one more thing kind of situation where they show off some more PS5 or games related to PS5. But it seems like the focus isn't on next-gen stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, they could just be lying as well.
They could.
you know, is it like they could? That is also a possibility. They could just be completely lying to make it, because I mean, the amount of times that there's been a State of Play and whatever it's showing has been leaked like the day before, like with Resident Evil 3, like they were meant to show that, and even when you watched it at State of Play, you could see how secretive it was meant to have been, but we already knew what it was. So I mean, it could be, but I mean, I think focusing on PS4 games is a good idea. I've heard that there's apparently going to be Spiderman, Miles Morales gameplay, and maybe a Silent Hill thing, but I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I'm just looking forward to seeing some games, really. I mean, it's just, I think that's just how it's starting to feel now. I'm just excited to see anything, to be honest. I don't mind about seeing, certain things, or I'm not waiting on anything. I mean, obviously I want to see the release date and the price, but just give me 40 minutes of games and that'll do me.
And that's fair. I was more I was angry the fact that we still don't have PS5 news. And
flipping
so when
tables.
So when I saw that initial image when I woke up, it's like, oh sweet, and nope, no PS5 announcements. Come on. But and then I have this little disclaimer. So Bloomberg was talking about this recently. Bloomberg says a PlayStation official who remained anonymous as the plan isn't public explained that Sony tentatively, why can I not pronounce that? Tentatively. There we go. plans to make its next announcement in August. So we will see some PS5 stuff, and you have to imagine we can't leave August without getting a release date and actual like price confirmed, if not pre-orders. But it looks like there may be another state of play after this that will focus on actual PS5 stuff.
Yeah, I think I think I get it why you and some other people are annoyed, because it is August and this state of play has been hyped before it was even announced for these kind of things. So I do definitely get that, and obviously there is a very small part of me that is like, oh, it would have been cool to, because they've already said that they haven't even announced all of their PS5 launch library or anything, so there are a lot of games they're still yet to announce. So I do understand that, but because what might happen is it might happen, and then every single thing they show might look awful, and then I'll be like, oh, that was crap. But just from knowing that they're showing games is like enough for me to get excited for. But yeah, I can see why it is kind of annoying for them not to say anything. But yeah, you'd imagine August, some point this month.
Right.
There's got to be a price. I mean, it's getting pretty ridiculous now. If worst case scenario, the console comes out in December, but you'd still probably imagine it'd be November. I mean, it's 4 months away. Yeah. It's just madness. I don't know how they're going to get all the because there's going to be a huge amount of pre-orders. They're going to have to then sort them all out within like a few months.
Yep.
And yeah, it's going to be absolute madness. But hopefully Sony know what they're doing. Fingers crossed, and yeah, it'll all work out all right. Hopefully by Christmas we'll have no more COVID and PS5s as well.
Dang, yeah, that's I can only hope and pray that happens, but yeah, that's awesome. Now, as far as like what we think they're going to show today, I did pull this from Push Square, so they had kind of some thoughts compiled together. So as far as Activision, they have that deal with Activision, or they have a pretty buddy relationship with them. Do we see some stuff from them? Cod Black Ops hasn't been officially announced yet. They've been lightly talking about it. Do we see something from them there that is next gen release as well as current gen? So this could be their PS4 focus on the next Call of Duty. Maybe they show it there. There's also Crash 4, which we've seen that initial announcement. Maybe we see some more gameplay or some kind of details there. Then there's that Tony Hawk 1 and 2 remaster. So there's things they could focus that are coming out for PS4 that I guess we forget about, that is still something they could focus on.
Yeah, I think those 3 games are pretty much definites. I think they're pretty. I mean, you could bet your house on all 3 of those being in state of play, I'd imagine. I mean, especially Crash and Call of Duty.
Right.
Call of Duty being probably one of the last PS4 games that Sony are actually going to focus on in terms of but like that date range, because we know that they're going to try and push everything to PS5 now. Crash, I completely forgot about that. That comes out next month, right? October?
I want to say September, but maybe October. Yeah,
September even. Yeah, I don't even know what the dates are anymore.
Right.
I've forgotten what the months are. But yeah, so that would make sense. Tony Hawk as well. I think that's still very likely to be shown, but I think out of them all, I think that's probably the least likely to have anything. Although I did see an announcement recently about them updating the soundtrack, like adding loads and loads of bands and songs.
Yeah.
So that could be a fun way to show off a new trailer, show off some new tracks and things like that. But yeah, I think those 3 are all pretty much a given. I think we can definitely expect to see them, and I think when you look at that as well, you look at those 3 games, you think they don't need to really show anything PS5, to be honest, because that's 3 big things there, and that'll be a big chunk of the state of play.
I wonder, it's one of the stories at the end here, like the Ps4 sales, they released some updated data on just where they are with total PS4 sales. Is it smart to focus on PS4 because are you still trying to sell these units, or do you focus everything to PS5? But with PS4 selling so well, maybe you do, but it's like, is there any kind of effort to try and like sell more units? But we're at the end of this cycle, so I guess there's part of my mind that finds it interesting to even focus on PS4 at this late in the game. But there are still titles coming out for it, so you want to try and sell it, while you can. But yeah, I guess it's just more for that.
I think multi-platform games will still come to PS4. I just don't necessarily think Sony will market them very well or very much or anything like that. Because, I mean, let's face it, they already don't market their own games now. I mean, games like Medieval, Destroy Humans, that Concrete Genie game, they get absolutely nothing from PlayStation at all. So it wouldn't surprise me. But also, if you just look at the staggering amount of PS4s that are out there in the wild, they don't need to market their games, because even if Xbox or Nintendo are marketing a game that's coming out on PS4, that's all Sony need, because it's not like, you know, your Joe Smith has got his PS4 and he sees an Xbox advert on the TV for a game that, like the new Call of Duty or whatever. He's still going to buy that on his PS4. He's not going to be like, oh, PlayStation didn't advertise that,
right?
Kind of thing. So I just feel like they're just going to pour all of their resources into the PS5 as soon as it's out, really. So I think that this could, I do honestly feel like it's going to be quite an abrupt message sort of stop that Sony can do. Especially, I think the branding of the actual machine itself is so distant from the PS4 that you're not going to see things like the Xbox do, where they'll be like, this is out on Xbox, and they'll show a picture of every single Xbox console or whatever. I don't think PlayStation can do that kind of thing. I think when the PS5's out, it's PS5 stuff, and then PS4 stuff can just roll on and do what it needs to do.
I think you're right. Yeah, they definitely, as far as the two different juggernauts, you know, Microsoft and Sony, they're taking different approaches. So Microsoft really is trying to create this ecosystem where you can play anywhere, and PlayStation's going, nope, it's PS5 or bust, and we're moving forward. And so it's, you know, whether it rubs you the wrong way or it's something you want, that is, I think, the direction you're going. You're right. So let's, the next one here is a RE8 trailer. So it is one of the articles we have pulled up later as well, but there is a lot of hubbub that we're going to see them focus on Resident Evil 8. It was kind of shown off in that PS5 conference as a next-gen game, but I think it's absolutely fair that we're going to see this on PS4. We're going to see this on PSVR, so maybe they focus on that for this state of play.
Yeah, I think definitely. I think that's another one that could. I think maybe we'll get. We didn't get a release date before, did we?
I don't think so. No.
No, so I think this could be a release date trailer, maybe a bit of gameplay, something like that. That could be cool. And also another one was Elden Ring. I don't know, because that's meant to be coming out on PS4.
Oh sure, yeah.
So I don't know, but I also have a feeling that that's got some Microsoft something to do with it.
It's
so
possible.
I don't know whether that's. I might have just completely made that up off the top of my head, but I know that it's coming on PS4. So, and if this is showing PS4 games, there's only so many that you can really think about, and Elden Ring is one of the big ones.
Yeah, there's some games where I wonder if you heard it by showing off the current gen model versus the next gen model, so, or like a release of it. So I wonder with Elden Ring, that one has been really pushed as like a next gen experience, and yeah, I think it will come out on PS4 or current gen. But I wonder if when you show that at the gate, you want to show here's the best way it looks, you know. So I don't know if they show it here, or they mentioned it's not like it's they're not gonna have PS5 announcements, just no big one. So maybe they do show off gameplay there. I'm not sure, but I wonder how they actually decide to reveal this stuff.
Yeah, well, I'd imagine that maybe they would show the trailer and it would say like playing on a PlayStation 5, but then at the end it will say coming to PS4 and everything. So I think they'll show with the trailer they'll show the best possible version of it, because they want to entice people into getting PS5s, but just by slapping that PS4 logo on at the end, you know, people are going to be like, that looks great, I'll get it on PS4. And we've seen games like Ghost of Tsushima, we've seen games like Last of Us 2. Granted, they're exclusive, so they should be able to get the most out of the hardware. It shows how, you know, versatile these systems can be and how far they can be pushed. So, you know, I think it's a good time now to show these nice looking games, because, you know, we've all been spoiled by Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us 2. So I think everyone will see these games, even if they're running on PS5, and be like, yeah, I can imagine my PS4 playing, not going to space.
Although apparently they do that with even current gen games, but yeah. Now this next one here is maybe more of a out of left field or prediction, but the PS4 base model price drop. So right now it's currently MSRP in the US is $299, is like it's the standard price still. Now Xbox has, if not drop prices, I know they've it's been in the news where they've dropped production on like the original Xbox. They're only doing the S. They're not even doing the all digital one anymore. So they're already shifting to kind of focus on next gen. Do we see PlayStation drop the price and kind of shift towards PS5? I wonder if there's, you know, any attempt to drop the price this summer.
Yeah, I think that could definitely be on the cards. So it's quite weird. I think with games consoles, especially as they get towards the latter state, even if, in fact, to be fair, even like the last couple of years, so even like a year or so ago, they they end up making a big like second hand or used marketplace, don't they? So like you can buy a new PS4 Slim now for £249, or you can get a used one or a used PS4 for like £130, and it's been like that for a couple of years now. So I think that as soon as the price drops, which obviously it will, I think those used marketplaces will get even more ridiculously cheap a bit later as well. So it's going to be really cool. It's just going to be for, you know, the people who haven't been able to, you know, afford to game, or they've always, you know, for financial reasons, they've always had to be a generation behind, or 2 generations behind. This is the time where they can get in and have all these amazing games to play in front of them. I mean, imagine not having a PS4, getting one, then having games like God of War and Horizon and Spiderman and Last of Us and all these games to experience. So, you know, it's an exciting time when things like this happen for those of us who aren't as fortunate to keep up with the trends.
Yeah, I think you're totally right, and that's a interesting side of it, where you think, okay, we're at the end of this cycle. Should we even push? That was my thought, you know, just minutes ago. Should we even push a PS4? But really, there are people that haven't adopted yet, or there's PC players or Xbox players where if you can drop the price on the PS4 dramatically and have all these titles that have only been able to play there, why not jump in for a very low price and still have your Xbox that you're playing or your PC? And also with that group, the people that just haven't been able to afford it, and now you have these amazing titles. So it's like, yeah, why not push at the last moment to try and get everyone on in this ecosystem, and then those people are adopted, and maybe they're more likely to buy PS5 as well. So there is argument to really push this at the end of the cycle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And it's it'll just sort of pick up those, like I said, the sort of minority that, for whether it's financial reasons or whether it's just you haven't been too bothered, so you've been waiting for like a more suitable price. Yeah, I think it's cool, because I think a lot of people as well don't like buying used. So even though you can buy a PS4 secondhand for like £100, like, and you have been able to for about a year or so, I think some people just like to buy them new, have them brand new. You know, there's something about opening that box and having it feel inherently yours as well. You know, games consoles are quite personal things. So I mean, I still sometimes think about my PlayStation, which I sold to a friend, my launch day PS4. I do sometimes think about him every now and then. But
when you're tossing and turning at night, you're
exciting.
just thinking,
Cool.
what happened to that old PS4?
Yeah, yeah. I wonder if he still spits out discs for no reason.
Do you think it's insane for them to drop another slim model, like another like just stripped down, or even like a PS4 Pro Slim or something like that is, or has stuff bundled in? Like, do you think there's room for another SKU, or they just kind of drop the price altogether?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there really is, to be honest. I mean, we're so close now to the next generation. I just
now
think...
PS3 had 3 iterations, right? Because you had the weird round one at the beginning, then you had that slim down, then you had another slim. So I wonder if they tried that. But although the PS4 Pro kind of throws everything out of whack, so I wonder.
Yeah, was the third PS3 Slim? Was that the one? It didn't have like a...
No, it had the open, like from the top, tray.
Yeah, it had like an actual tray. Yeah, that was a very strange time. Because even then, because the PS3 came out and it was all disc drives, wasn't it? It was
right.
all, you know, no more disc trays, no more. I mean, the 360 had a tray, but so when that came out, like the last version of it, and it had a disc tray, everyone was like, "What?" So strange. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if we saw another iteration. I think it would definitely be a Pro Slim, because the Pro is quite beefy. But yeah, I mean, I don't know who that'd be for.
Yeah.
Again, maybe people who want to make a jump from their base PS4 to something better, but they can't afford the PS5. But yeah, I don't know whether just the sheer size of the Pro is worth making another iteration of it for. I think that came out when they were already iterating on the base PS4, so I think it's already kind of pretty good. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, I don't think it's something that's necessary.
Gotcha. Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's more likely. I'm just wondering if we do see another, or maybe years from now, there is another Slim as the PS4s keep selling, like they kind of do a different model. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, good way to try and reach that PS2, which they will never reach. try and sort of climb higher in that sales chart.
Yep, exactly. So let's go over some more PlayStation news. Here we have the next one. This one angered people as well online. So this is Spider-Man coming to Marvel's Avengers exclusively on PlayStation. So we have the article here from Jeff Adams, the associate. So the beginning of this is Jeff Adams, the associate art director of Crystal Dynamics, on the PlayStation blog. It's never been a better time to be a Spider-Man fan. The team at Crystal Dynamics, along with our partners, are overjoyed that we get to be a part of this hero's gaming journey. We can't wait for you to add Spider-Man to your Marvel's Avengers roster in early 2021, and as we've promised before, he will be available at no additional cost to owners of the base game exclusively on PlayStation. PlayStation players will get the chance to acquire exclusive skins and other cosmetics for characters in the game for 1 month before PC and Xbox users. PlayStation players will also get a special access to certain community challenges. New heroes will come with a unique bundle, including one free skin and some currency. And Marvel's Avengers launches on PS4 and next gen September 4th for 2020. Calum, did this rub you the wrong way when they announced this exclusivity deal? I thought this was, if they're going to do it, it was going to be in line with what they announced here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's, I don't know. I think the fact that you can only play as Spider-Man on PlayStation is pretty terrible. And I just hate all of this, like exclusive skins, cosmetics, and all this like bundles, one free skin, some currency. I just hate all of that. It's making what looks like an already terrible game sound even worse. I just honestly like have no care about this game in any way. And I think this is just a really horrible practice to have as well. And you can see how much it's really bothering people who don't have PlayStations, because I mean, as awful as the game does look, I mean, Marvel has a huge audience and people are going to play it. And, that's really rubbed some people the wrong way. If you have an Xbox and you really love Marvel games and you're going to hear that you're going to be buying the exact same game, but you're going to be treated lesser than somebody on a different platform, it's just ridiculous. I mean, they're not going to be paying any less money. They're paying the exact same amount of money for that game, and they're getting a worse game for it. They're getting a game with one less character in it. I mean, the cosmetics and all that with the month, whatever, that's all right, because it's not all right, but you'll eventually get it anyway. So it's scummy, but you can get over it. But to not have an entire character for a game you're spending the same amount of money on it's just ridiculous. And it doesn't help that the game does look awful anyway. So I'm just have nothing but negativity against this game.
Well, let's see. Before we get into like the whole exclusivity thing, I was on the same page with you with it looking awful. But recently, I want to say last week, they put out a pretty in-depth video, Crystal Dynamics, about the beta that they're launching. They do show off a lot of the gameplay, a lot of the content. It doesn't look as bad as I thought before. Like, it actually looks fun. I don't know if it's worth that full price for me right off the get-go, but it does look fun. It is more of like this Destiny kind of multiplayer gameplay, and I guess I prefer something more like Spider-Man where it's just single-player focused. But the gameplay doesn't look as bad as I thought before. It looks pretty fun. It looks like it's a good time to play with friends. I like how you can customize everything and all the different abilities you can obtain, and it just looks very actiony, almost like the heroes, or there was another Marvel game where it was just like a four-player co-op where it was really just like off the rails, just actiony. But this one, yeah, I think I'm more positive on it after that video they put out. At the same time, yeah, I still have fears. I'm not going to jump in day one because I think that they're going to have to work some kinks out, if not with the servers, but actually like tweaking the gameplay. So I'm a bit more positive on it. But when I saw this news article about them going exclusive, I kind of figured that was going to be the case. I mean, Sony still owns the rights to like the movie part of Spider-Man, like the actual when it comes to his movie rights, they own that still. I guess that still transcends to video game coverage as well. So I guess it made more sense to me that Sony would still play that card and go, okay, he's only going to be on PlayStation because we own the rights to him. I guess I wasn't really bothered at it because I don't know, it just seemed like that's the way it was going to go. So this one didn't really upset me. I just thought, okay, yeah, that sounds about right. And maybe it's because I'm in that PlayStation ecosystem, it doesn't affect me at all. But I can see why people would be angry. But it seems like these console manufacturers, I mean, they make deals to get you to buy their thing, and it's really only kind of a newer situation where Xbox is kind of pushing that narrative where they're trying to make sure that everything's playable everywhere and be as consumer friendly as possible. And PlayStation really hasn't been that way for a long time. Even with Fortnite, they're kind of dragged by the heels to make sure that was crossplay. And now a lot of games are crossplay, but PlayStation really, I think if they would prefer to not have that. This kind of made more sense that it was going this direction, but I do understand how people would be upset about it.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between like having a game that you cannot play on one platform and a game that you can play on the other. I think that kind of exclusivity is fine because, you know, if you have an Xbox, you want to play Last of Us 2, you're not out of pocket because of it. You're not, you know, the only thing there is you can't play it unless you have a PlayStation.
Yeah.
This, however, if you have a PlayStation and an Xbox, you'll pay £60 for the same game on both platforms. But one game on one platform will have more content in it than the other. And I don't know, I just feel like it's just very scummy. Like, it's really... Because people are paying their money to play this game, and they're getting a worse game with less content in it, simply because they're playing on a different platform. And it's not like you can spend an extra £10 or an extra £20 to get digital deluxe and get these things in it. You're just simply locked out from that extra content completely, and like I said, you're still paying for the game.
Right.
So yeah, I just think from like the people who are making this game's perspective, like from Crystal Dynamics, I know it'll probably be a big all down to licensing and everything, so it's probably not a lot they can do, but I would feel awful. You know, if I was making a game and only half of my audience are going to be experiencing it with all of the characters we've made for it, I'd be mortified. So yeah, I mean, like you said, I think, you know, if one thing's okay, then everything should be kind of thing. But I don't know, I think sometimes you just have to think about the things that they have to think about the things they're doing, because like I said, there's one thing having exclusive games, but to have a game that you can buy, it's just worse than somewhere else. It sounds like something from like a comedy sketch. Like it's just, I just don't know how that is a feasible thing at all. But yeah, I mean, I don't really mind. I played it at Gamescom last year,
really?
Avengers, and yeah, and it looked nice, but yeah, it was just exactly how it looks in the trailers. Like, it's just Batman Arkham Asylum style combat, and that's it, and you're playing as Thor or whatever. And yeah, it's I mean, I'm not as like annoyed as most people are about it, but I can completely understand why people would be, and I can completely see that. And yeah, like I said, I mean, I might be slightly biased because I think the game is just bad anyway, but yeah, it's just not good practice. Very shady, very scummy.
Yeah, I think I could see that. I mean, you're definitely not wrong that it isn't very consumer friendly, especially since like this game, I think you could argue that it's going to be advertised towards a younger crowd, and they're not going to know what the hell's going on. So when they see their friends playing or hear that their friends playing Spider-Man and they go to play it on Xbox and they go, hey, how come I can't get Spider-Man? And they're just not going to know what's going on. So it's going to rub them the wrong way. So you might sell or get more people buying a PlayStation, I guess, just to play this on just to play Spider-Man, but at the same time, I think you're really turning off the base, and it's not helping you, and so you're not earning fans by doing this. So I think maybe they should take the loss and just I guess the loss they perceive, and just have Spider-Man on there, because it just, you know, helps out their fan base. But yeah, it is a negative, and it's really only, I think it's maybe legal stuff that's, you know, that Sony's wrapped up in with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But it doesn't help out the consumers at all.
Yeah, because it's like you're saying about Marvel Ultimate Alliance. I mean, there was a third one of them that's just come out on Nintendo Switch, and that's got Spider-Man on it.
It does. That's true. So I wonder what the deal is.
And yeah, I think it's and that you got the Lego games, which have all got Spider-Man in them. Yeah, I just feel like it's really dodgy practice, and yeah, I just feel I genuinely like feel bad for people who, especially like little kids who have an Xbox, and you know, they're like, oh, this new Marvel Avengers game's coming out, I'm gonna get to play as Spider-Man, because they've seen it in the trailers or whatever, and like you said, they don't understand, and then so they get this game and they can't play as Spider-Man, like, even though they've seen you being able to. It's just, And it's different. I remember when Soul Calibur came out on PS3 and 360. One of them on PlayStation you could play as Darth Vader, or on Xbox you could play as Yoda. But at least like each person's getting something exclusive. If the Xbox community got another superhero or something in place of Spider-Man, it'd still be a bit weird. But at least they're still getting the same amount of content. They're still getting something. And yeah, it's just it just it reflects extremely badly on all parties involved.
Yeah, you're right. There's been a lot of comparisons with the Soul Calibur series because they have had console exclusive characters, but it was across the board. Everyone had their special character. Like Xbox had Spawn and one of the earlier ones. So yeah, I mean they've done that, but this is not the same case. I guess it would be extra sketchy too if as a kid you're playing it and you're playing maybe with a buddy who has Spider-Man. And it tells you, hey kid, if you want, you can pay $5 extra and you get Spider-Man here. Like you press of a button, or it sends you to a link to buy a PlayStation 4 or whatever. Like that'd be extra sketchy too. But I wouldn't put that past them because I think that's what they're trying to do.
Well, it's pretty much what they've done, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, like you're paying 50 quid for a game, and then you're going, oh, I can't play as Spider-Man, but how come I saw him? And then you see, oh, I have to buy a PS4, then buy this game I've just bought again. And yeah, it's just really, really weird. I don't like it at all. I'm just looking forward to it coming out and getting its comeuppance, because it's just very it's been marred in controversy since it was started being developed,
right?
And we'll see what happens.
I wonder if, because we're in a day and age where sometimes enough energy, enough anger online will sway the decisions of companies. So I wonder if this will be enough to change Sony's mind. I highly doubt it, but I guess we'll see if as we get closer, if they say, you know what, okay, Spider-Man's on all consoles, you guys can quit complaining. I don't think they'll do that. I think they'll still stay stuck in their heels, and maybe it's a legal thing, but I think you mentioned correctly where it's like Spider-Man is in all these different Marvel games, and even very recently. So I don't think it's a matter of they can't do it. I think they're choosing not to do it.
Oh yeah, definitely. At the end of the day, it's always down to choice, isn't it? Even if it's licensing, there's still somebody who's going, no, you can't use that, or whatever. I think we've talked about it in great detail before. I think exclusivity is good. It creates healthy competition, and it creates reasons to have these platforms. But when you're taking something that's on another platform and just making it better, not as in it plays better, it's technically superior on this platform because this platform is a better platform. It's taking something, using something behind the scenes to make that game better on your platform. So what you've now got is you've got two versions of a game, one that is better because it's got an extra character and more content, whilst the other one is literally a lesser version. They both cost the same amount of money, and the people who are getting shafted are the people who prefer to play on Xbox, and that's why I'm more annoyed at the Crystal Dynamics, because they're the ones making this game, and they're the ones sort of having to be like, well, half of our audience are going to get shafted. They're going to get a worse game. They're going to get a lesser game than the people on PS4, and it's just not acceptable. It's just not an acceptable way to think. For me anyway, when you're making a game.
No, I agree. Yeah, and we'll see what happens when this game actually releases and how people interpret what's going on. But yeah, I think you're right, and people are justified in their anger online for sure. Callum, as we move through, the next one here was this RE8 trailer rumors, but really I think we covered that in the state of play. There isn't much there in the article. It's just saying most likely we're going to see some RE8 presence at that state of play, and some of the Resident Evil Ambassador people in that program have been playing it on PS4 Pro, so I think it for sure is coming current gen, and that's just really what that is. But yeah, I think we already covered that, so we can kind of skip through that article, but we can go on to the next one here. Sony confirms you can't play PS5 games with a PS4 controller. So more anger online as we'll go through this. This is IGN's Adam Bankhurst has the details. Sony has revealed more details on how PlayStation 4 peripherals and accessories will work with PlayStation 5, including that the DualShock 4 will not work with PS5 games. Revealed on PlayStation blog, the DualShock 4 will still work with supported PS4 games on PS5, but Sony believes PS5 games should take advantage of new capabilities and features we're bringing to the platform, including the features of DualSense wireless controller. As for other existing PS4 peripherals and accessories, Sony has confirmed the following. Specialty peripherals such as officially licensed racing wheels, arcade sticks, flight sticks will work with PS5 games and supported PS4 games. PS4 Gold and third-party headsets will work with PS5. PS Move, PSVR, aim controllers will work with PS5, and then PS4's PlayStation camera will also work with PS5 for those playing supported PSVR games, but it will require a PlayStation camera adapter that will be provided at no additional cost to PSVR users. More details on how to get this adapter will be announced at a later date. And also in response to this kind of negative news, Xbox shot off this tweet saying, just reiterating the fact that our controllers are backwards, forwards compatible. If you have an Xbox One controller, it works on Series X and original Xbox, like whatever you have, it works. So they also made sure to chime in as soon as that news was going live on the internet. But how do you feel about, did you expect this? What were you thinking with the PS4 controller working on PS5?
I didn't think for a second that the DualShock 4 would work on the PS5, like at all. Like, never even crossed my mind. But I think it's an interesting one because, I think, again, it all goes down to Sony's sort of idea of not holding back their games because of old hardware. And as much as the DualShock 4 is definitely, for me, the nicest feeling controller out of the two between that and the Xbox controllers, the Xbox One controllers, they definitely have more feedback. They have, the sensitive triggers for games like Forza or the haptic triggers, whatever, and all of that kind of thing. And then the Elite controller came out, which is basically what a DualSense is to the DualShock 4 anyway. So I think it makes sense. I can again see why people might be a bit annoyed, but why would you ever be using a DualShock 4 on your PS5? There's never been a time where I've had the DualShock 3, my PS4, and been like, damn, I can't play it now.
Right.
Like, because firstly, the console comes with a controller. And I just don't know why you'd ever be like, I can't use my PS1 controller on my PS5 now. So, trying to like plug the, like the whatever those ports are called on like PS2 controllers, trying to plug it into USB slots or whatever. But I mean, I don't think there's a lot behind this, and they've even said like all the other PS4 stuff's compatible, and the free adapter is completely un-Sony like. So I think that's just proof that they're really putting where the DualShock 4 might have missed out slightly. They're really honing in on that with the DualSense, and it's obviously intent to make sure all of their games use these things in the controller. Because if the DualShock 4 was compatible, then that would just cause an extra avenue for developers to go down, like, well, we need to make sure that this also works with the older controller. Yep. I think it's a completely understandable move. Again, one that hadn't even crossed my mind because it's so, it's if you're a PlayStation fan and have been for a long time, I don't know why you would ever expect your old controllers to work with the next console. Not really much. I mean, maybe they could have done something to make it work, in a basic way. But then, again, who's going to be using it? Who's going to choose a DualShock 4 over the DualSense? It's just, it's a bit of a strange one to be annoyed about, I think.
Yeah, people are definitely annoyed online about it. But I hear you. And I'm basically 99% with you on that. The 1% of me only feels the opposite just because I have so many PS4 controllers now, and like some of them look really cool too, so I'm thinking like, man, it'd be rad to play this on PS5. At the same time, these are still working, these are still compatible with PS4 games if you're still playing them on PS5, so that still works there. And really, you're right, it would hold them back because they have the adaptive triggers, they have this different rumbling or like sensation on the actual DualSense. So it's like they have all this stuff, all this tech that's built from the ground up. So for then developers to go, okay, we have to turn all this off if you're going to play on your DualShock 4, but it's been made for that more of an immersive experience. It's like, but now they're limited because people are still wanting to play on their DualShock, but this came with a DualSense. So it's like, why are we limiting what they can do? So you're right. I mean, across the board, that should be what we do. If they're making these features only work on DualSense, it'd be really weird to have them make them turn it off for the use of a DualShock 4. It's just useless. So Yeah, no. So I'm definitely with you on that. It's just now that I have all these stacking PS4 controllers, stacking up on my end. That's my only hesitation. But it's even like I quickly get over that because I'd rather use these cool features of the DualSense.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. To be fair, I mean, people have a lot of PS4 controllers, and I wanted to say as well, like when people, it's always something I always think about when you first get a new console or within the first year. You always have that conversation where you're like, oh, can you, if like a friend's coming over, like, oh, can you bring a controller? Or do you need me to bring a controller? And then now, if I'm going to a friend's house, I know that there's at least like 10 PS4 controllers in everyone's household.
Right.
Like because you do, they bring out these really nice iterations and you end up buying them. So, yeah, I get that. But a lot of my controllers broke. I had loads of them. They either broke or I lent them to people and then I just never got them back. Like I've got this one here. I've got the like grey one which I use for my PC.
Oh, nice.
It's got like a bit of a dodgy L2.
Okay.
But yeah, so yeah, I can see that. I can see having these like this fleet of controllers that you can no longer use. But
right.
No, they look nice. They'd make nice ornaments.
There you go.
They're definitely the nicest looking controller, I think. But yeah, it's also a great thing that what Xbox are doing as well, and you can sort of see both sides, I suppose. But yeah, for me, it's one of those things where I don't even know why this is a surprise to people.
Right.
Like, I don't know why people are using the fact that Xbox One controllers are backwards compatible to be like, oh my god, I can't believe PlayStation aren't doing that. And it's like, well, they never have.
Right.
So, don't know why I'm so shocked, kind of thing.
No, yeah, it's very true. But people did get mad as they do online, and I'd seen that unfold.
Shock.
Right. So we'll on to our next one here. This is Horizon Zero Dawn. So the PC release comes out this week, I want to say. So it's the 7th, tomorrow. Horizon Zero Dawn on PC is magical. So I took some excerpts here from Kotaku. They wrote about it. Alex Walker has an article. Aloy wasn't originally designed to roll around post-apocalyptic jungles, deserts, and snow peaks at 120 frames per second, but it definitely suits her. This week marks the release of Horizon Zero Dawn on PC through Steam and Epic Games Store. It's a base game with the Frozen Wilds DC, plus the extra features patched into the game over the last couple of years. That includes the additions to Horizon's already excellent photo mode. For those playing on PC, there's plenty of excellent options, along with ultra-wide support. There's a customizable FOV slider that goes all the way from 70 to 100. HDR support is included. There's a render scale for fine-tuning on low-end PCs. You can set an adaptive performance FPS limit, controlling at what point the game's dynamic resolution slider kicks in. Horizon is an incredible experience on PC. The speed at which Aloy moves does introduce a bit of clunk to some of the animations. Occasionally, Aloy will run and spin around a little too much for the game to handle, and your inputs will stall for the slightest fraction. If you haven't played Horizon Zero Dawn yet, you should have absolutely no qualms about grabbing it now. And if you've already played on PS4, but don't mind discovering Aloy's past all over again, trust me, you're in for a treat. And so, yeah, this game comes out tomorrow on PC, on Steam, and Epic. Have you mentioned kind of in the past that you maybe would be willing to jump in for this one to try it on PC?
Yeah, I think I obviously I platinumed the game when it first came out. Absolutely loved it. Probably one of my favorite PS4 games, if not my favorite PS4 game. And it was mostly because the story and the setting, I just found it just captured my imagination so much. I wanted to find out what everything meant. I just found it so intriguing. And that's what kept me coming back. I haven't really... I'd never played the DLC, so that's something I definitely do need to go back to. But it's kind of one of those things where I've heard the DLC is like one of those post-game difficult things, so you need to have completed the game and have all your gear and everything. So I think I'll definitely end up getting it on PC at some point just to play it again before the second game. I've got it on PS4, but so I could replay it on there. But I don't know. It's going to sound really stupid, but I find it weird playing games that I've platinumed. Like, I don't know why. It's just weird. So I feel like if I get it on PC, at least it's like new. I'll be able to play it with all the new graphics and see everything. So yeah, really cool. It's nice to hear that it's got all these like really innovative or new modern PC settings. Like the whole dynamic resolution thing is meant to be awesome, and Death Stranding has that as well, and it's meant to work really well. Which basically just changes your settings to keep you at a certain frame rate.
Gotcha.
Which is, I mean, for me, I don't think it's talked about enough. If that became the norm, then I think PCs would just absolutely destroy consoles in a lot of ways, because you don't have to faff around with the settings. It's basically like playing a console where you'll just choose your frame rate and it'll always be at that, obviously if your PC can at least handle the lowest. So I'm really excited to try that out. So yeah, cool to know it works well. I will probably get it maybe next year, closer to when the second game comes out, and it'll probably be a bit cheaper then as well. But yeah, really cool. Glad to hear it's doing well.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I played so much of it. It's like I have the hesitation of jumping in, playing all the same stuff over again. I would like to wait a while, and maybe when this thing's on sale, when it's closer to the next release of what's the West Coast one? It's Forbidden West. There we go. Maybe closer to that release. But yeah, I'm glad that Sony's doing this. Like, Death Stranding was really received well on PC. Now that I have my PC, I'm super interested in this kind of stuff. Yeah, that's great for them, and it's great for people to now, if they haven't been able to play this, be able to play this on their PC. I kind of wish that I didn't play this on PlayStation, so I could experience it for the first time with all the stuff turned up. But it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, luckily, like I said, it's been so long now, or it feels like so long since I played it. That I think it would basically be like experiencing it again. And I really like playing, because to me it's kind of like a third-person shooter with how heavy it relies on the bow. And I like playing games like that, like the Tomb Raider games as well on PC with a keyboard and mouse. I actually think they feel really nice to play. Whereas like I was playing like Assassin's Creed Origins, which is just not got very nice controls at all, so I use controller for that. So it'd be nice to feel it with a mouse and keyboard. You know, you've got to be very accurate to take down up parts of armor and things like that. So that would be quite nice to feel with that as well. So yeah, really exciting. It's really, really cool to see such an awesome game, and it's got such a nice story behind it with how Guerrilla went from making a game like Killzone to something like this and just doing so well at doing it.
Right.
I'm hoping, because I think we've said before that all the first party studios seem to take influence from each other, and I'm hoping that Ghost of Tsushima can influence it slightly as well with how the exploration works, and Last of Us 2 can probably get some things in there as well, and because it is a bit Ubisofty with how the map is, and
overloading your screen with all the different disclaimers or like menu items, like it's.
Yeah, a friend of mine was because I've got quite a few friends who'd never finished it because they just couldn't get into it, which is actually quite a common thing I hear. And a friend of mine was playing it, and he was like, yeah, I'm liking it. He was like, but the HUD is horrible, and he took a screenshot and sent it to me, and the HUD is disgusting. Like, I do not remember it being that bad. And then someone tweeted about it like a week after he said as well, and I was like, felt like Truman in the Truman Show, because it was just everything, such a obscure thing was being talked about. But yeah, and I just never realized that. So that's sort of something that it's quite interesting. I don't really know why I didn't notice it at the time. I don't know whether it was because HUDs were all bad around then, so you just didn't realize, or but yeah, I think you can have like an adaptive HUD setting anyway to like turn it down, but yeah, so that's something I completely forgot and saw recently, and I was like, oh yeah, that isn't actually very nice at all.
Yeah, I don't even think the game will adjust it to when you're just kind of free roaming. I don't think it even removes the HUD elements there. Like Last of Us will do that, Tsushima will do that. It'll get rid of stuff as you don't need it, and then bring it back when you're actually in gameplay. But yeah, they don't even do that. And maybe it's just a product of its time. And I'm really hoping, just like you said, they take influence and dramatically reduce that. And if you're going to do it in smart ways, like Tsushima did.
Yeah, and that's something that I loved about Ghost of Tsushima, was how when you're traveling, unless you need that bit of HUD, it won't be there. And I just loved that. Right. And I loved how there was no, obviously you have your map to open, but there was no map cluttering your screen, and you weren't constantly staring at that instead of staring at the world around you. And and yeah, it stops you from missing things as well. And I don't think you really realize that until you sort of look deeper into it. But I think you end up missing so many things that maybe are on the horizon, or just a bit of like the scene itself, just from looking at your map all the time. And so I'm hoping I think Horizon 2 definitely does have some world design things it needs to change, but to be fair, I think at the time it was fairly innovative and fine for its time. But I think things have rapidly moved on since then in terms of open world, so it'll be really interesting to see how they tackle it.
Oh yeah, especially with how beautiful these games are getting. It's like, don't get in the way of this world. Like, let me just feel it. And that's exactly what Tsushima did. But you're right. I mean, you have, I want to say close to that same time period, maybe like 2 years before, you had Breath of the Wild release on Switch, and that one also, you'll see like the end game mode where it's like 10 hearts that you'll have on screen and all your different doodads, and I think we just kind of, as an industry, got used to that, and now there's a response to like bring that back down. So yeah, I'm fully support them just making that just way more minimal. Alrighty, Calm. So we'll end on our last one here. It's about the PS4 sale. So PS4 sales top 112 million units. So also of IGN, Jordan Serrani has an article. PlayStation 4 sales have surpassed 112 million units, Sony announced Tuesday as part of its quarterly earnings report. During the first quarter of its fiscal year, April 1st through June 30th, Sony reported PS4 sales of 1.9 million units, bringing its lifetime sales total to 112.3 million. Now, this is interesting. 74% of all PlayStation game sales last quarter were digital, a significant bump compared to 53% from the same period last year. Digital spending has increased across the industry throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, leading to record video game-related spending in the U.S. earlier this year. PlayStation Plus subscriptions, meanwhile, rose to 44.9 million, as noted by GamesIndustry.biz. Its quarterly jump of 3.4 million subscriptions is one of the largest in company history. Monthly active users, which Sony defines as the estimated number of unique accounts that engaged with the PlayStation Network in June, reached 113 million. For comparison, Microsoft reported nearly 90 million active Xbox Live users at the end of April. And just to put their sales into context, so we have the PS2 as a top dog. It's at 155 million. The Nintendo DS, which is a handheld, so it may be different comparison, but it's at 154 million. It's super close to those the PS2 sales. And then we have the Game Boy at 118 million, PS4 at 112, and then the original PlayStation at 102 million. But yeah, that's great sales. And what also dug was the fact that 74% of all game sales last quarter were all digital, and that's pretty nuts to see that rise in that way.
Yeah, let's get rid of those discs. Yeah. Get rid of those physical games. COVID, you get COVID if you go out online. So.
That needs to be the advertising campaign.
No, yeah, yeah. Don't buy discs because you might get COVID. But yeah, no, it's really cool. I was actually thinking, as they're going into like a more firm digital only stratosphere by having a digital only console. People like to share their collections and things like that, and I think it'd be nice to have a nice UI to show off your game collections. Like you have like a virtual game collection, which would be quite cool. Because I mean, Steam I don't know if you've seen like Steam's big picture mode, or like where they've got like the tiles.
I haven't dabbled in that.
No. It's like basically if you plug your controller in. You you can like navigate. It's basically Steam's got like a controller mode where you can just navigate with a PS4 controller. And yeah, and that UI is quite nice. It's just all of your games, whether they're installed or not. And so I think, because I see there's a lot of people I follow on Twitter who like every day they like to share like games that they've got, or old school games and collector's editions and all that. Which I think if there was a way to kind of carry over like those with like things like themes or artwork and things like that to carry it over digital, I think that'd be a good way to just sort of try and like mend those two outputs of sort of games. But I don't think that discs will go away because of collector's editions, because people like to collect their discs. It's like books, isn't it? Like a lot of people, I've just started reading on my Kindle recently just because it's so much easier. On my phone, just the Kindle app, I can just if I've got like a spare 5 minutes, I can read a book rather than have to make sure I carry my book with me and read it. But then again, books aren't going anywhere because people like to get them, and so I think people will get quite scared about these kind of figures, but I don't think there's anything to worry about really. I think the only thing it will mean is that production might be a little bit less, maybe they'll produce less physical games, which I think is probably the best thing to do. But then you've also got to remember as well, which what it says in the article is that this includes COVID, the pandemic. Yeah. So it's always going to be a bit higher anyway. But yeah, it's really cool. I love digital. I just love digital stuff. I think it's just nicer. It's cleaner, less clutter. I used to love getting games and collecting them, but now I just find like I'll have like a couple of games in my drawer. I'll have one like under my bed.
Yep.
And I'll just like they'll just be scattered around.
Yep.
And I hate getting out of like bed or off the sofa to like put a disc in or take a disc out.
Yeah.
Just getting I'm becoming like the people in Wall-E. You know, like, they just like sit in these like
and just scoot around and
yeah. But yeah, no, amazing figures, interesting comparisons of Microsoft as well. Yeah, all good.
Yeah, no, it's great figures. You mentioned them possibly upgrading the digital like way you arrange your games, because that is the way it's lacking, where you can't show off your collection. It'd actually be really cool to have them do something like that big picture mode where you see all your games displayed, but also maybe take advantage of the fact that it's digital. So have like moving covers, some kind of like a GIF version of the game or something that just takes advantage of the fact that you couldn't do this if you're looking at your physical copy of the game. But yeah, I mean, I'm all digital. Like this generation is really when I switched over. I think with the PS3, with the Xbox 360, I was buying actual cases and just more kind of focused on that. But at the end of the PS3 cycle, one of the first ones I downloaded was Last of Us, the original. I downloaded that through PlayStation Now or the PSN, and since then it's just been like all digital as much as I can, and I just prefer that. It's way easier. I mean, I can, you just download right then and there. There's tons of sales on the PSN, so it's a no-brainer for me. But there are people that they don't have great internet. I get that. So you want to have that option, which they do with the PS5. They have the disc version. So but so everyone's taken care of. But I mean, I'm all digital as much as I can.
Yeah. I think it is definitely. And just going back to sort of like displaying your things, you know what we need? We need PlayStation Home to come back, and then you can have your virtual game collection.
Yeah. I feel like I've heard rumblings of them bringing that back, or like rumors, especially with like PSVR, something like that. I don't know if there's any demand for that at all, but I wonder, maybe there's something.
I think it would be kind of cool. Maybe not the sort of like social aspect of it, and that might just be me being antisocial. But just having like a virtual, like, I don't know, like with the Oculus Quest, when you fire it up and you're in that like apartment or whatever. But like something like that where you can have like a digital game collection, where even like, because every game you buy is going to have a case, so maybe like the PS5 will realize what game it is, and it will be like, oh, you own this game, so we'll pop this in your virtual game shelf or whatever, and you can go over to it and take photos or whatever. I think that could be quite fun, and because it's not something that like you feel you have to use or you have to like get social, because I think that's the problem with PlayStation Home. It was it's like creepy almost, like very just weird. Kind of like especially around that like time as well. It was like the whole like chat rooms and MSN and all these like weird things going on. But I think something just like very personal and virtual that you can, they could even make money by getting you to buy virtual sofas and upgrade your spend loads of money on your virtual home.
You can buy Spiderman so he can swing in through exclusively for PlayStation.
Yeah, exclusively, yeah. But yeah, so yeah, that's obviously just all spitballing. But yeah, I think that could be quite cool. I think something should be done to try and at least, because not every void can be filled. People with bad internet, that can't be helped. People, who don't like the fact that they don't actually own their game.
Yeah.
You have some of those people who feel like you don't actually own digital games, which is that's a way of thinking, I suppose. But so you can't really remedy that. And also like collector's editions of statues, you can't really do anything about that either unless they come with codes rather than discs. But I think by having like a virtual place where you can still have things like on display, I think that's a way to sort of like combat that sort of part of things. But
yeah, I agree. We'll see. The future is very close. So we'll see what PS5 does to kind of switch it up as well. I wonder if, just on the topic of the UI for the PS5, if we get any update on the PS4, if they try and use some of whatever they're changing on the PS5 UI, if they kind of switch it over and it's the across the board kind of change of the UI. I know Xbox will do that where it's all their platforms change and look the same. So I wonder if, I
think that SSD you've installed has made you forget how slow the PS4 is without any of the new stuff.
That's true. Yep.
You've got your new SSD, and you're like, oh, this is alright actually.
yeah. I have that now, and it's of course when I installed the SSD, I have Tsushima on there, which already loads so fast. It's like I haven't really experienced the breathtaking speed yet, so we'll see.
Yeah. That's funny actually. I was thinking about that with Ghost of Tsushima, about how like I'd always want to try and read whatever was on the loading screen, and I honestly never had enough time to read it. There wasn't a single time where. And I made a point of trying to read it every time, and like sometimes I'd get like just to the end and it would load, and I have no idea how they've done that, but in terms of getting some sort of UI onto the PS4, I just don't think the PS4 can handle any other updates to its system any longer. Because I mean, even when you just get a system update, I'll install it and I'll think, God, I don't even know if my PS4 is going to make it through this, through all these changes now. Like you see all like the patch notes, and it's like, oh yeah, we're adding this to the PlayStation Store, and I'm like, oh god, don't add anything else to it.
You can see it sweating and just vibrating just to try and add.
Yeah.
That reminds me, there was this video Digital Foundry put out this week where they had there's this crazy Samsung 8 terabyte SSD that they installed on the PS4, the base model, to see if it improved speeds, and of course it did. It was like dramatically, like in half or like 75% reduced speeds. But they used this 8 terabyte SSD, which is like super overkill. But it was cool to see them test everything out. A lot of the games sped up in there or like loaded faster, but the one thing was the UI. The UI didn't change at all, so it wasn't any faster going through your games at all. So it was just whatever because of the architecture itself. Like it doesn't improve the speeds there. But I looked up after that video that 8 terabyte SSD that they use is $1,000. So they just kind of wanted to do something like completely over the top.
Yeah, I need to get a new SSD myself, to be honest, for my computer. And in fact, I've been thinking about doing a fresh install of Windows recently, just because I've had my PC's been in this build for a while now, like this version of Windows and everything. And sometimes when things just start to get full, and I've downloaded loads of like software that's meant to like deep clean it, and I'm pretty good at looking after it. But it's just got to that point recently where I'm like, maybe I could just do with a nice fresh install, and that will save me having to buy a new SSD, because my SSD is like really old now. It's like a little 128 gig one I just use for Windows, but I've been eyeing up those M2 drives. And they do look very fancy. And I mean, my SSD in comparison to those is quite slow as well. I mean, I don't notice it. I only use it for Windows. Don't put any games on it or anything. But Windows is lightning fast on it. But to just the knowledge that it could be even quicker if I got a better SSD is enough to tempt me. Yeah,
no, I've been there. I've definitely. There's actually good deals on SSDs now, and you mentioned those those smaller SSDs. I forget the name of them, but yeah, they're even cheaper now. So you can get usually you can get a terabyte for about $100, US, like around that window. So yeah, it's definitely doable now.
Yeah, I'll have to have a look at that and just bite the bullet.
Yep. Nice, Callum. Well, yeah, we'll end it there this week. Where can they keep up with you on the internet?
On Twitter at Bear Monroe is probably the best place. But yeah, other than that, that's about it.
Awesome. You can keep up with the show on Twitter as well at Plastic Art Pod. That's it for us this week. We'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
See you later.
You're too late. I've already summoned Meteor.
Okay, let's go.